supposed to be committed elsewhere in the economy are then now needed to be recommitted to a project that was already funded. You are having an example where funds have been released for the procurement of a road. I'm just giving an example. The individuals tasked with coming up with the necessary documentation to make sure that the process runs smoothly. They then decide to say, let me award to a colleague, to a friend, this tender, so that immediately become rich. What then happens is, once their friend or their colleague fails to deliver on that particular project, okay, they get caught, justice prevails, they get arrested, but at the end of the day, the road is still not yet there. So you will find us coming back and forth to a situation whereby a recommitment of already scarce resources is now needed to make sure that this project goes on. I'm giving you this example so that you understand that prevention is way better than what? Cure. We have an option of avoiding all of these complexities that I've already explained by making sure that within our ministry we have created a culture where integrity transcends into an organizational culture. It should be known that when you are coming from the Ministry of Home Affairs, the people there are people of high integrity. To an extent that if you are an individual and you are coming from an organization, you must carry with you the pride that comes along with your organization not being an organization labeled as one of the most corrupt ministries in the country. So we are saying we need to come back to integrity. We need to come back to our deep set values. We need to come back to our norms. We need to come back to choosing to do the right thing even when no one is watching. So today we are going to sign our integrity pledges. We are going to make a public commitment to fighting against corruption. We are going to sign the pledge as a public announcement to say, in my sphere of influence where I work, I am not going to tolerate corruption that happens under my watch. We are going to make a public commitment that I am going to refuse, I am going to resist, and I am going to report any corruption that happens within my sphere of influence. It has been rightfully alluded to before that the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, under Section 255, where we derive our mandate, we have been tasked to take lead in the fight against corruption. What this then implies is that for ourselves to be able to take lead, there must be complementary effort that is coming from people who are complementing this leadership. So what it means then is, fighting corruption is not our responsibility alone as the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. And if we are going to win this fight against corruption, we need to do a holistic approach to make sure that no one is left behind, to make sure that our society and our people are positioned in a way that they are willing to also make sure that they join and participate effectively in this fight against corruption. This is what we are saying, and this is the background about integrity committees and integrity pledges. We are coming back to you to try and talk to you, have this conversation. So you are going to read the pledge, but what you are going to find out is there is nothing new on this pledge. Majority of the things that you are going to pledge to, we are already doing it. You find there are other clauses that I'm pledging to be humble, I'm pledging to work with agents of government in making sure that corruption becomes a thing of the past. This is what we are going to pledge to do today. To involve ourselves in this fight against corruption. To participate, to also engage in trying to make sure that we eradicate corruption for good. I know when I'm speaking in front of you today, because of the levels corruption is reached in this country, there's someone who's doubting right now in their hearts that we are just probably doing this because we want to tick boxes, or probably because there are cameras, we want to gallivant, or we want to showboat. That is not the issue. We are doing this with the belief that as many as you are, 150 people from the ministry, if they sign their pledges today, if we get 5 from the 150, that will think twice. That will spare a second thought when they want to commit corruption, because they signed this integrity pledge. If we have 5 people who will remember that I am not going to commit corruption because I have signed the integrity pledge, for ourselves we would have achieved a very, very key result anyway. Why? Because we are believing that if we put our hands together, if we come together, if we start to denounce corruption from an individual point of view, we then begin to make sure that our organization, our ministry, the cleansing process is already started. This is what we are talking about when we speak about integrity. I'm not going to go on and on and on. Why? Because when we are speaking from the people from Home Affairs, the belief is I'm already preaching to be transformed. So you find that the integrity pledges are signed on a voluntary basis. You are pledging, you are volunteering your support and participation to dealing with corruption. However, I also want to make it very clear that due to the nature of your responsibilities as public officers, signing the integrity pledge becomes voluntary, but also compulsory. You might say, yes, I am not comfortable signing the integrity pledge. Fair and fine. We are not forcing anyone. But we may also raise eyebrows. And ask questions. Why do you not want to pledge to do the right thing if you know how to? So, as we are going to read this integrity pledge, we want everyone to read and recite it from within, to make sure that we mean the things that we are saying. Ladies and gentlemen, we have traveled to countries where corruption is very, very minimal or next to nothing. We've traveled to nations where we have been given a platform to present, and then said, tell us about the most scandalous corruption examples that happened in your country. They then stand up, they say, no, here in our country, the greatest corruption that we may say we have faced is during COVID-19, when people wanted to skip the line and get the jab fast. Those days when the jab was still scarce. And then we come up and then we say, we have this person who took 200 million from the government. We have another person who took 110 million from the government. We have this person who stole 20,000 from the government. They then looked at us and asked us a question. What kind of a people are you? A people that take from their own country. What kind of a people are you? Because they understand the far-reaching effects that corruption has on the economy. They understand that choosing to take from your country today is also choosing to take from the future of your kids. They understand that if you take to yourself an amount that was allocated to construct a road, it is yourself who will travel in that same area without a road. So they understand the far-reaching effects that corruption has on the economy. The far-reaching effects that corruption has on the integrity and reputation of the country itself. They were very surprised. They looked us in the eye and asked us the question, what kind of a people are you? Very, very surprised. So we are saying we have a chance to try and make things right. We have a chance, and there is a moment where we should get to our turning point. Our Damascus moment, it should come. So this goes to everyone who was probably thinking of leaving this room and then go out and accept a bribe. That you have a chance through signing this pledge of choosing to come back to your senses. You have a chance of saying enough is enough. You have a chance of saying today the corruption that has happened in the country is enough. Why? Because we believe that integrity then begins with what? It begins with you. It also begins with who? With me. And then it then cascades to all of us. This is what we are saying. I'm not going to continue speaking, but the far-reaching effects of corruption, I do not want to lie. The effects are very, very severe and detrimental to the success of a nation. I've given this example when we were engaging the Minister of Education sometime last week. They said, bring us closer to home. Give us an example of how corruption really affects the nation on a broader, in the wider perspective. I then said to them, the situation we are having is, you are at a school and then the headmaster wants to conduct a fun day, a civics. The head goes to the deputy and then says, Deputy Headmaster, we want to do a civics today, tomorrow. Can you please go and tell your teachers that we are going to have a civics and it's $3. The deputy head with corrupt tendencies goes to address teachers. Teachers, we are going to have a civics day tomorrow, $5. The teacher now then goes to speak to the kids, to the students. Students. We are going to have a civics tomorrow. How much? $10. Mwana anovava ane mufaro oenda kumba anosvika unogamuchirwa nani namai mama mangwana kune civics yamari $12. Amai vachamirirani happy kwanzi kune civics yamari mana mama vakakuru mwanzo $20. So baba vanobudisa chi wopani amai vachaita sei mwana opiwa obviso yake chain goes on and on until it then goes. Vanozoshika mari kunani? Kuna headmaster. Headmaster